Hello, welcome to Crafting Ruby Dreams. My name is Katie, and I talk about publishing and planning and planners and all of that fun stuff. And I am going to be talking today about self-publishing and self-publishing while holding a full-time job, and 5 reasons why I personally love self-publishing, and a course that you might be interested in if you are interested in publishing in general, but also specifically self-publishing. So it's not a course by me. It is a course I have taken, and you'll probably come across it if you're in the planner community or if you're at all interested in publishing and self-publishing. But I just wanted to put it out there that I really recommend this course, especially for newbies. And I'll get into a couple of reasons why I really like the course and who it's taught by. And to stop beating around the bush, that is Sarah Cannon of Heart Breathings, and it's the Publish and Thrive course. So can you self-publish with a full-time job? That's the little title of this video. And to absolutely kill any watch through, yes, you can. You can absolutely self-publish while holding down a full-time job. It is a bit hard in terms of time management. I am single. I don't have kids, so I don't have to factor those responsibilities of relationships and childcare into my daily life. But as you can see from the background, things are a little bit messy. I am currently, fingers crossed, almost at the end of a first draft of a book that I've been working on for 18 months now, over 18 months, in various iterations, various things, whole lot of stuff behind that, but I'm almost done with this first draft. And I would say that leads into point number 1 as to why I love self-publishing. It's flexible. I love the flexibility of self-publishing. And a lot of other people, this is where I hear a lot of people say that they love the control of self-publishing. Control is definitely a thing, but it's not the thing for me. I love the flexibility that I get from having the control, if that makes sense. It's not necessarily the control I love, because I'm not, in general, a controlling person. It's not something I particularly value over other things. But I do greatly appreciate the flexibility, because there is no way on this planet that if I had a traditional contract for the book that I'm currently working on, I would have had to turn in that sucker long ago or break the contract. And that would have been putting me into an even worse mental position than I was, mental health position than I had been, which was behind the reason why it has taken me this long to write this book. I highly recommend therapy. If you can do therapy for whatever reason, whether you do have the monetary privilege to do so, or you actually know that it works for you. I do know some people for whom talk therapy is not a thing, but I highly recommend it. So I am so in love with flexibility and being able to do what I needed to do to care for myself and change when I was going to be publishing this book. It was all on my own. I was able to make the change, cancel the pre-order. That was a thing. It was a little frustrating thing, but I did it. And so if I didn't have the flexibility of self-publishing, I don't know where I'd be right now with this particular book or series or pen name. So that is the number 1 reason why I love to self-publish as somebody who has a full-time job otherwise. And it's my full-time job I'm a librarian, but what I do as a librarian is completely separate from the writing and the publishing. So it's not like I can write on the job at all. It's like I sometimes write during my breaks, which will come into play. But it's not something that I can do during my actual work hours. I have to do my job. So there is that. That leads into point number 2. This is a phrase that I hear from certain segments of the population on trying to promote a certain type of business that I don't think the particular business model is actually a sustainable one or a one that is healthy for a lot of people. But anyway, it is squeezing it into the pockets of your day. So this is where I think actually self-publishing, if you are choosing to self-publish fiction, nonfiction, whatever, is something you can actually squeeze into the pockets of your day. So whether it is actually writing the material that you will be publishing, if it's doing the social media, promoting yourself, you can do that. If you can have your phone with you during your day job, you can do your social media on your breaks if you are allowed to have your phone while you are on break, and that is fine with your employer. Because there's 2 benefits to that, I think, is A, it's limiting your time on social media, so you're not gonna get social media burnout. You have to go in, do your thing, do it quickly, and then you can go back and do your job. And then another thing with writing is that you can write either on your break. I've been known to do that, is writing on my break, writing while commuting. I have written on my phone, just using my phone because I use Google Docs, while sitting on a bus and on the train. If you drive a car for commuting and you don't have other people in the car with you, you can learn how to do dictation. And that way you can produce your whatever it is, your product, whatever it is that you are choosing to publish. So that is another thing that you can do to squeeze it in around your day job. So that is another reason why I love self-publishing. And this is another thing. The third point, I should say. Third point is that especially if you are tight on money, like a lot of people are, and especially I think if you're working a full-time job, you are likely tight on money. The majority of the people in the United States where I live, that's the case. So there can be no too little upfront costs to self-publish. So there can be costs that you can choose to take on at the start of your publishing career. There are some that I have chosen to take on, and there are others that I am deferring those costs. I will say this particular thing is, a lot of people say you have to have an editor. I would say that you can get away without having an editor, but you have to be willing to pay the consequences in the form of bad reviews and people just really not liking your book. And if you're willing to pay that consequence, then yes, you can get away without having an editor. I highly recommend getting some like what's known as beta readers at the very least. And those are people who will volunteer to read your book and like kind of let you know if the story basically is dog doo-doo or not. But when I chose to self-publish under the new pen name, I did it with many, many years of experience, both writing and getting critiqued, as well as actually publishing and getting edited by editors. So I was not as confident, I would say, as some people into publishing without an editor. However, I also was confident enough, let's say, in my storytelling skills and how I went about actually writing the book to feel comfortable enough to put what I published out into the world without having an external editor. I will say for the book that I'm currently writing, I I won a manuscript critique in a charity auction with the specific intention of having that person basically act as a developmental editor for me. How deep it's going to go, I don't know. That's fine. But I did that very intentionally because of how long it has taken me to write this first draft. And having lost some of the confidence that I even had last year when I published the first book. So there are ways that you can get around paying an editor what their going rate is. And I absolutely respect what editors charge. Many editors absolutely deserve every single penny of what they are charging. I'm not saying try to get around and get out of paying what somebody is worth. However, if you find yourself on a bit of a budget, which I am, look for charity auctions where full manuscript critiques are given. And you may not win it, but you might. I figured out what I was willing to pay. I did have some wiggle room in my budget. It wasn't enough for me to pay for a full contracted editor, but it was enough for me to win this manuscript critique from somebody who is an English professor. So I'm going to take that. So those are some things to consider. And another consequence you can have, because there's basically two things you need for self-publishing: having a manuscript file, and having a cover. And you can create a cover in Canva. There's a free level of Canva. You can absolutely create a cover in that yourself, and it'd be totally free. You're done. You're good to go. The thing to remember is there's so much competition in publishing these days. This is not self-publishing 10 years ago. There are a lot of people have figured out that you can self-publish and put out a lot of stuff. Be cognizant of what the covers of the books your book is competing against for attention, what those covers look like. And so if you are going to put out a cover that is very, very basic, and especially say you put up basically a cover that is very basic font, like Arial font, and it's just like a, say, light pink cover, black Arial font, and that's your title, and you're writing romantasy. You're going up against Fourth Wing. I always remember Iron Flame. I never remember Fourth Wing right off the top of my head. Don't ask me why. You're going up against Fourth Wing. You're going up against Jennifer Lynn Almentrout. There's a book that a couple of my friends are currently reading called Quicksilver. I'm not sure if that is self-published or not, but those are very ornate covers for the most part. And you having a very basic cover like that does not signal that the writing inside is supposed to be similar to the cover, to what is published as what Fourth Wing and Jennifer Lynn Armentrout's books are, and all Quicksilver, everything else in the romantasy genre that a lot of people are going gaga over these days, and rightfully so. So keep that in mind too. So if you're trying to go basic with a book cover, again, if you are willing to pay the consequences of people not responding to your cover, you can absolutely do it yourself in Canva for free. And I'm going to say, Halima, I'm going to quickly answer this question. No, I'm not writing romantasy. I wish I could, because I would like to get on that money train, but I'm not writing romantasy. I respect the readers of it way too much to try and write something that I would not be personally comfortable writing and making a bad experience for them. So yeah, I'm just using romantasy as a example for if you put out a basic cover, but you're writing romantasy and you're going up what the covers are on romantasy books are. So thank you for asking that question. Um, so that's again, something to consider. So if you choose not to get an editor or you choose to do your own cover, um, you can get away with those a lot more easily if you have experience doing it or you're willing to put in the time and effort to learn how to do those things to the best of your ability and level up a bit. So that is my third point as to why I love self-publishing. Um, I can do it on a budget, but again, I have a lot of years of experience, and I'm actually doing my own covers right now. I'm a little because, but I also have a support system in the form of a group of author friends, many of whom either have a lot of experience in designing their own covers, and so I know a lot. They know a lot of stuff with regards to cover design theory. A number of them also have worked as professional photographers at some point in their professional lives. So they bring that eye to things. And so, yeah, so those are things to consider with your what your budget is with self-publishing. Halima, I do see your question, so I will answer that in a little bit. Fourth reason why I really enjoy self-publishing, and that is I can pivot faster. I'm not going to say I've been able to pivot quickly. Again, a lot of this personal stuff happening in the last couple of years, but when I realized it's like I probably need to get a new cover on book 1 and a new cover designer to do the new cover for book 1 and books 2 and 3. And I'm like, that's an expense I don't want to deal with at this point. I can do this. I can learn how to do this. I have this group, so I'm going to do it. And I've pretty much nailed down the cover for book 3. I'm sorry, for book 1. Book 3 is actually probably pretty close to being nailed down as well, even though I haven't written word 1 on book 3. Book 2, we're still working on that particular cover. I've spent a lot of time this week doing background erasure in Affinity Pro, which is an alternative to Photoshop. Highly recommend Affinity Photo. If you are at all interested in graphic design, Photoshop alternatives, definitely recommend. But I published the first book, Not So Runaway Bride, last year, and I already knew a year in I'm going to have to change the cover. I could have done that. Oh, I would have needed a little bit more training with regards to how to do cover design on my own in Affinity, but I would have gotten there if it was a more pressing issue earlier. So the fact that I'm changing the cover even this quickly, it's something I can do, and I'm really looking forward to doing. If I was traditionally published, I would not have had this much say in the cover design in the first place. In the second place, I highly doubt that unless there was some significant issue with the cover, that would not have gone changed as quickly as I have done it. So I can also hopefully pivot faster with the stories I'm telling. So writing takes a while. It's taken me longer than I had expected for this particular book, but I can still pivot faster with what I'm choosing to publish than if I was traditionally publishing. So that is the fourth reason why I really love self-publishing. And then the fifth reason why I love self-publishing is that I very, very, very much love how it feeds my entrepreneurial spirit. I really love the writing. I would probably write anyway at this point, even if I wasn't publishing. But just as much as figuring out story and what's next in the story, how to shape the story, gets me like really interested. I also love the business aspect. So figuring out how am I going to market this book? How am I going to promote this book and do promotions and all of that stuff just gets me really excited, and I can feel my face lighting up at this point. Just thinking all of the various strands of how I want to build and run this business. So, not everybody wants to run a business. If you choose to publish, you are running a business. So, you're going to have to learn how to do it no matter what, whether you're traditionally published or self publish. But if you self publish, you have a lot more say in what you can and what you choose to do, what you can do with regards to marketing and promotion and a whole bunch of other things. I have friends who have run direct shops right now, which is where you can buy either physical books or sometimes, excuse me, I've been fighting off a head cold. I'm so sorry. Um, and so, or like they have direct shops with print books, with ebooks, with merchandise. And that's not something I particularly have space for at this point in time. But I love seeing what they are doing with that aspect of their business. That gets me fired up as a someday thing. So yeah, so that aspect of self-publishing, I really like. I can do more on the business side of things than I could if I was traditionally published. So let me take a quick sip of water. I hate head colds, and for sure it's a head cold. So, all right. So those are my 5 reasons why I love self-publishing. So Halima has this question: how is your latest work in progress going? So since a lot of people probably missed the beginning, it's going pretty good actually. um, I am. I was working on it this morning, and I think I might actually have the first draft done in the next couple weeks. So fingers crossed. We will see how it goes. I am very hopeful. I'm really close to the end of what I think is the first draft. And I think 2 more chapters and the epilogue and the bonus epilogue, which for anyone who's interested in bonus epilogues, I personally I love reading them myself. So I was like, when I started this pen name, I was like, I am absolutely doing them as a way to hook in readers to my newsletter. Um, so I actually enjoy writing them as much as I enjoy reading them. So that's a win for me. But yeah, so the main draft of the story, I think just 2 more chapters and the epilogue. And then I'm going to be sending it off to somebody who I want a manuscript critique from. And we will see how quickly she gets it back to me. She's somebody who I personally know, and she's a pretty fast reader. And so we'll see how long it takes for her to get back to me with, here's what you need to fix, because you've been working on this for 18 months. I still, when I had the realization, I was like, this is the longest it has ever taken me to write a book. Even it is the longest it has taken me to ever finish a book. I will say that. It might have taken me longer to write what little I have of my first attempt at a novel, which was handwritten, mind you. But finishing I think before this book, the longest it ever took me to finish a book was about 14 months. And that was my first finished book ever. And that was when I was in grad school. I actually started it before I started grad school. So that was a long time ago. And yeah, so from the time I first started writing on this book to now, it's been over 18 months. I'm pretty sure. It's close to 18 months if it's not over 18 months. But yeah, it's very, very close. So it's a lot. But yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so close to being done with this first draft. I'm trying to tell myself I cannot rush this process. I have a lot going on with work and some various appointments this week. So it may not be this week, but it's going to be very soon that I will be finishing this. So thank you for asking, Helene. I really appreciate that. And so, yeah, as you and I said during the various reasons, I have a group of friends who I really have been relying on for support, which they have been very happy to provide me. Um, Emotional, motivational, critiquing my cover design attempts and helping guide me as I have grown in terms of skills of cover design. I am not going to be hiring myself out to design everybody else's covers at this point in time, but when I put these covers out there, I'm very confident that I will have done a pretty darn good job of making a cover that I think will be appealing to readers and will communicate what type of story is inside that cover. So that is something to consider with cover design. Is what you are putting on is your cover communicating the type of story that the readers are going to find inside. So that is my own little mastermind. And apparently, here, let me pull up the post that Sarah Cannon did the other day, or yesterday, maybe yesterday. Oh, it lost it. Yes, I want. There we go. So Sarah is very, very much into the idea of masterminds. She is in a business mastermind herself that she periodically posts about. And so she is adding in a mastermind factor, not module. I don't think it's module, but she's adding mastermind thing into the Experience of Publish and Thrive, which is her course on how to self-publish or publish. Traditionally published, but all of her experience is self-publishing. So take the traditional, I think even Sarah would say this, take the traditional publishing aspect with a little bit of a grain of salt because of just where her experience lies. I'm so sorry. I took Publish and Thrive. When was this? I want to say January of 2023, maybe 2022. A little fuzzy. Time, wibbly wobbly. So, but I did take it before I officially launched the new pen name. And I genuinely appreciated the refresher course. I had actually started self-publishing before pandemic. And because it had been so long since I had done a lot of the work, it was really good to take the course for me to have a refresher on what to do, considerations to have, a whole lot of stuff. I am always happy to answer questions about publishing and self-publishing. It is something that I can get, I'm not going to say rabid about because that's the wrong connotation, but very excited to talk to people about. I love talking the business with people. So I'm always happy to answer questions. And if you ever have any questions, just drop them on one of the videos and I will come back and answer it to the best of my ability. But this is where I think Sarah excels compared to me. I don't ever want to teach a course. I'm not the person for whom course building and the resulting community around a course can develop the way that Sarah is. Sarah is so excellent at caring for her community, whether they are part of the HB90, which is her flagship course, or Publish and Thrive, or just her broader Heart Breathings community. The care that Sarah has for her community is just a joy to behold. And I am so proud to know her as a person to the best that I know her as an individual person who, unfortunately, we have not gotten to spend a whole lot of time in person together, but I've known her in author spaces for years. And she is just such a genuinely caring person who really, really wants what the community that comes to her for information, she really wants to make sure that you understand it. And so I think she's an excellent course teacher that I would recommend for almost anything that she would teach. And and this is where I say this, is that I think she would not put out a course unless it was something that she felt confident in teaching and caring for the community that came to her for that information. I think that there are a lot of people who will put out courses just to put out courses and are not as good about caring for the community of learners who come to them for whatever the topic is. I think Sarah is excellent for that. She truly cares about the learning aspect of people and their experience. Part of that is that she used to be a teacher, so she absolutely respects the profession. But she is somebody who also loves taking courses herself. So I think that is also a main factor, a big factor as to why she is as excellent as she is with teaching courses. So this is why I highly, highly recommend, if you're at all interested in publishing or self-publishing, you take Publish and Thrive. It's currently open. It opened today for registration, and it starts on August 3rd. I just wrote quick notes. The course is $499. Now, again, I want to go back to the point. If your budget does not allow for the space for taking this course, you don't have to do it. You can get this information from a lot of different people. If you want the support community and you have space in your budget, I think it's a very, very good option. So again, $499 for one payment. If you want to do a 6-month payment, she does offer that. It is $90 a month. She also offers a 12-month payment, and that is $45 a month. So that might be a little bit more budget friendly for you if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, Halima, thank you so much for asking your questions. I'm so glad that I was able to come in and talk about that for a little bit. Things are messy. So it's been busy, but I'm almost done with the book and I'm so, so happy. I have no idea at this point when I'll publish it because I need to find out what I need to fix in it first. But I'm even looking forward to that. I have my fingers crossed. I might be able to get it published by the end of the year. Yeah, so those are the updates from me. I do have some stuff that I've been doing with planners that I would love to talk about at some point. Not sure exactly when, but there's stuff happening. Halima, thank you so much. I will absolutely be sure to let you all know when it is available for purchase or pre-order. I still haven't decided if I'm going to try to do a pre-order again, maybe for 2 weeks ahead of time. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So that is it from me tonight. It is almost 9:30 my time, and head cold. I need to go to bed soon. So I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you have any questions about Publish and Thrive, about self-publishing, about publishing in general, please drop them in the comments and I will be happy to answer them. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of the weekend, if it is your weekend or whatever day you're watching this. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.